I got some new ski pants, and they have one big flaw, and that's that they have these little metal joining rings here, and they tend to do this just because of the way they're designed, and I really don't like that. So I thought, why not 3D print a replacement that basically can fulfill the same purpose as this? And then I was like, why don't I trick it out a bit and add some accessory slots or whatever you want to call them. So I basically created like pen and pencil um, brackets here um, that you can use to attach pens and pencils to, which works out really well. But it had some issues that I've ironed out through the course of 4 iterations now. So this is basically what it looks like, and it works more or less the way I wanted it to, and you can slide your pencils or pens into these slots. You probably wouldn't want to use one this size. So I thought I'd just go over each design and explain sort of like the evolution process. This was the alpha version, and it actually had some stuff that I ended up putting in the final version, but essentially it was just the lowest profile, and also kind of like the minimal material usage for what I was trying to accomplish. It had one big flaw though, and that's the fact that this narrow part right here along the edge takes all of the force of the strain on the strap, and so it basically flexes and deforms in a way that I didn't really like. And of course, opening up this little channel here allows the straps to slip out, especially when they're sliding on this plane. The little snaps for the pencils worked more or less as designed, but I'll get to one of the major changes I made to that in one of the later versions. Another thing that this had sort of an issue is all the edges were just straight and not chamfered, which probably would wear a strap down over time, and also is less comfortable if you're just touching it. So this was the next version, the beta version, and I made some questionable changes here. I can't remember why. I think it was just an aesthetic concern, but I took the third clip out and just brought it down to 2. I was like, I don't really need 3 clips, and there were some topology issues. These I changed from being open. Mainly what I was trying to do was create more rigidity, which I really accomplished in multiple ways here. Making this wider for one, and also changing the print settings so that there was no infill, and instructing the print head to create consecutive walls as the infill. So this is actually insanely strong. It's quite a bit heavier than this version, which has infill, even though it's thicker. It's actually lighter. It's not too heavy, but it's definitely heavier. But it's incredibly strong. Like, I'm pulling on this with many pounds, probably over 10 pounds of force, maybe 15, maybe 20 pounds, and it's barely flexing. I don't feel like this is gonna break. So it still had some minor design flaws. Mainly, there could be an extra bracket, and also these channels. I found that the straps were slipping out occasionally, and it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because it's like a funnel basically, especially with these curved edges. The strap hits the edge, and rubs up against that corner and slips over and can compromise the functionality. So, oh yeah, one other thing. I noticed that occasionally, even though these tolerances were pretty decent, they would do some damage to the pencil, and also the pencil, if it turned in the wrong direction, it can slip out. One of the reasons for that is these were way too thick. Another reason was the tolerances were not perfect, especially when you're dealing with multiple different pencil sizes or types. This is a round pencil versus the standard hexagonal pencil. This is a thinner pencil that doesn't really fit well in there. And then I have this ballpoint pen, which is actually way thicker than any of the pencils, and so it stays in there incredibly tightly, which my preference honestly would probably be this ballpoint pen for things I would put in here. So anyway, I was like, okay, how do I solve these problems? So this is the third version, and as an experiment, I thought, why not add some extra functionality and put some little loops here for lanyards or Allen wrenches or whatever. You know, I can just, like, if I need to, slip an Allen wrench in there, or other things that might fit in a enclosed slot like that. I don't know, it was just an experiment more than anything. But the real innovation was this right here. There's a little tab in there, 0.5 millimeter flexible tab that basically can move, and it sticks up just a little bit, so when you push a pencil through there, it creates friction. You can see how that works, and that holds the pencil no matter how it's turned. Although this pencil still is so skinny that it doesn't conform to this. It's because it doesn't have any paint on it. It's a smooth finish. But like most of the writing implements work because of that little retaining tab. We know the pen's gonna work. The next major innovation was this change right here. You can see how I changed the slots from a straight slot to a slot that is at an angle, which then creates more of a surface for the strap to hold on to, and it's less likely to slip out while being just as easy to slide in. And finally, the last version, which hopefully is the final version, where basically I made a few minor changes. Mainly I re-added the third clip for an additional pen or pencil, and I made these walls thinner here. You can see the difference in thickness, and that allows for greater flexibility when you're popping a pencil in. It's still too much just because PLA is insanely rigid, but it makes it much easier when putting like this pen in, for example. Just pops right in there. So yeah, that's basically how the design evolved into what it is, and I think it's done. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but it was pretty obvious. I chamfered all of the edges to make everything nice and smooth and round. Even these triangular equilateral supports are also chamfered subtly. Yeah, so another project completed. I hope you found this interesting, and you can download the design on printables.com if you feel like it would be useful to you. Thanks for watching.